Good morning, everyone. It's about 9 o'clock here on Thursday morning, the 30th of January, 2025. Mark's been reading through the Gospels. Today he's going to be reading the 19th chapter of John. This, of course, is the account of the crucifixion of Jesus. Pilate took Jesus and scourged him, and the soldiers plaited a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put him in a purple robe. And they said, "Hail, King of the Jews," and they smote him with their hands. And Pilate said that he still didn't find any fault in him. Jesus came forth wearing the crown of thorns and a purple robe. Pilate said, "Behold the man." Chief priests and officers kept saying, "Crucify him, crucify him." Pilate says, "Go ahead and take him. I find no fault in him." And Pilate said to Jesus, "Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee and power to release thee?" And Christ said, "You don't have any power at all unless it was given to thee from above." And that's the way it is with all things. All power is given from above. Pilate still sought to release him. And Pilate was afraid of the people. And so he ended up succumbing to their demands, and it says that Christ went forth bearing his cross to a place of skull which is called Golgotha. They crucified him and two others on either side, and Pilate wrote, "Jesus Nazareth, the King of the Jews." And they were trying to get him saying that he said, "I'm the King of the Jews," but Pilate says, "What I've written, I've written." And we notice that they also cast lots for his robe, which was a fulfillment of the prophecy in the Old Testament, stating, "For my vestures did they cast lots." Jesus' mother was there, and his mother's sister, and Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. And Jesus saw his mother and John, and he said, "Behold thy son." And from that hour, John took her into his own home. Jesus said he thirsted, and they took a vessel full of vinegar. And it says when he had received the vinegar, he said it is finished, bowed his head, and gave up the ghost. And they sought that Pilate would break the legs, but when the soldiers came to Jesus, he was already dead, so he didn't break his legs. And a spear pierced his side, and out came blood and water. All these things were done that the scripture would be fulfilled. And then we find that Joseph of Arimathea was able to get the body from permission to get the body from Pilate, and also Nicodemus brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes. They took the body of Jesus and wound in linen clothes and so on. And they laid Jesus in a sepulcher. So I'm going to turn this over to Mark and have him read it. It's one of the most historical events in the history of all mankind, the crucifixion of Christ, his dying on the cruel and rugged cross for his people. Hope you have a blessed day today. And let us never forget the song, At the cross where I first saw the light, the burdens of my heart rolled away. It was there by faith I received my sight, and now I'm happy all the day.
John chapter 19. John chapter 19. Then Pilate therefore took Jesus and scourged him. And the soldiers platted a crown of thorns and put it on his head, and they put him on a purple robe. Said, Hail, King of the Jews! And they smote him with their hands. Pilate therefore went forth again and saith unto them, Behold, I bring him forward to you, that ye may know that I find no fault in him. Then came Jesus forth, wearing the crown of thorns, the purple robe. Pilate saith unto them, Behold the man. When the chief priests therefore and officers saw him, they cried out, saying, Crucify him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto him, Take ye him and crucify him, for I find no fault in him. The Jews answered, We have a law, and by our law he ought to die, because he made himself the Son of God. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he was the more afraid. Went again in the judgment hall, and saith unto Jesus, Whence art thou? But Jesus gave him no answer. Then saith Pilate unto him, Speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have power to crucify thee, and have power to release thee? Jesus answered, Thou canst have no power at all against me, except it were given thee from above. Therefore he that delivered me unto thee hath the greater sin. From thenceforth Pilate sought to release him. The Jews cried out, saying, If thou let this man go, thou art not Caesar's friend. Whosoever make himself a king speaketh against Caesar. Pilate therefore heard that saying. He brought Jesus forth and sat down in the judgment seat in the places called the pavement, but in the Hebrew Gabbatha. The preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour. He saith unto the Jews, Behold your king. They cried out, Away with him, crucify him. Pilate saith unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. Then delivered he him, but therefore unto him then to be crucified, and they took Jesus and led him away. He, bearing his cross, went forth in a place called the place of the skull, which is called Hebrew Golgotha, where they crucified him and two other with him on either side, one and Jesus in the midst. Pilate wrote a title and put it on the cross, and the writing was, Jesus of Nazareth, the King of the Jews. This title then read many of the Jews, for the place where Jesus was crucified nigh the city. It was written in Hebrew and Greek and Latin. Then said the chief priest of the Jews to Pilate, Write not the King of the Jews, but that he said, I am the King of the Jews. Pilate answered, What I have written, I have written. Then the soldiers, when they had crucified Jesus, took his garments, made 4 parts, to every soldier a part, and also had his coat. Now, the coat was made without seam, woven from the top throughout. Then said therefore among themselves, Let us not rend it, but cast lots for it, whose it shall be, the scripture might be fulfilled, which saith, They parted my raiment among them, my vesture that did cast lots. These things therefore the soldiers did. Now there stood by the cross of Jesus his mother and his mother's sister Mary, the wife of Cleophas, and Mary Magdalene. When Jesus therefore saw his mother, disciple standing by whom he loved, saith unto his mother, Woman, behold thy son. Then saith he to thy disciple, Behold thy mother. And from that hour that disciple took her unto her own home. After this, Jesus, knowing that all things were now accomplished, the scripture might be fulfilled, saith, I thirst. Now there was a vessel full of vinegar, and they filled the sponge with vinegar and put it upon hyssop and put it to his mouth. Jesus therefore had received the vinegar. He said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. The Jews therefore, because of the preparation that the body should not remain upon the cross on the Sabbath day, for that Sabbath day was a high day, besought Pilate their legs might be broken, that they might be taken away. Then came the soldiers and brake the legs of the first and the other which was crucified with him. But when they came to Jesus and they saw that he was dead already, they brake not his legs. But one of the soldiers with a spear pierced his side, and forth came there out blood and water. Yes. He that saw it to bear record, his record is true. He knoweth that he saith true, that you might believe. For these things were done, that the scripture should be fulfilled. A bone of him shall not be broken. And again another scripture saith, they shall look on him who they pierced. After this, Joseph of Arimathea, being a disciple of Jesus, secretly for fear of the Jews, besought Pilate that he might take away the body of Jesus. Pilate gave him leave, and he came therefore and took the body of Jesus. And there came also Nicodemus, which at the first came to Jesus by night, and brought a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100-pound weight. Then they took the body of Jesus and wound it in linen clothes with the spices, a manner of Judas to bury. Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden. In the garden a new sepulchre, one was never man yet laid. There laid they the Jesus, therefore because the Jews' preparation day of the sepulchre was nigh at hand.
Thank you, Mark. Yes. Well, as we know, this was all foretold in the 53rd chapter of Isaiah. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray, turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. God bless.